Hello everyone, my name's Tris and this is Double O'Neill. On this episode we'll be talking about model railways, and hopefully you clicked on that thumbnail because of that. We're going to be looking at my station area, which I'm now building up, which has been something that I've been thinking about a lot, and yeah, I've not really been sure how I was going to go about doing it. So I went through the process of using my filament based printer, which you've seen before, printing out the parts that will actually end up being little supports and bits like that. So that's been a good tool to have during this process especially. The idea would be that I have these supports, I then put foam in between it, and then I have embossed plastic up on the edge with all the brickwork on, which I can add afterwards. And my thoughts are that I could build it all up with card, or just cut out the foam and stick it to the foam, but I want things to kind of be straight and look nice, and it's not like I'm just having a straight platform. There's constant curves going around everywhere, and with that it needs to look right. We'll also be looking at a few other things during the episode. I have a new addition to the layout, which is something I've wanted for a while, and there's a brilliant bargain, so I had to do it, but we'll talk about that in a bit. The other bit is I had a lot of fun over the past couple of weeks drawing up a cool little waiting room, and I'm going to show you the whole process of making that up, and yeah, it's good fun, and painted it up, and I kind of think it looks good. And the other bit I want to talk about is going over to my model railway club. I've had a lot of fun. Past 2 weeks we've had a running night, which has been great. We've had this big octagon out and running the locos around, so we're going to cover all those things in this episode. Right. Let's go have a look in the loft at, well, from start to finish on the first stage, let's call it, of building up the platform. Over the past few episodes, we've been seeing this corner get all built up, and that's kind of great. I'm happy with that. And then I wanted to move on to get the bridge sorted. We've got a double slip in here, which we saw in operation before, so that works nicely. That's wired up separately, so that's working very, very nicely. And as we come over here, you'll see the plaster work that we did here. And I had a few comments, people saying you can sand this. So fine, I was hacking away at it before. I should have just sanded it like they're saying there, which is, you know, great advice from these lovely people. And anyway, if we're wondering, right, what's happened over here. And as you'll remember, if you did watch last episode, if you didn't, we started focusing on the station area. And with the station area, I've got it all on a curve. But, you know, it will come round here, you know, it will finish about here. And I've been thinking about that, and we're going to go through that on this episode. And I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try it. You know, either way, we've got to try things, otherwise we'll never know. And obviously just up here we have the other line. So this will be like effectively the branch line. You don't see much of it. It's the bit that takes it out to the fiddle yard, which is an area which is behind, if you remember. We put up this brilliant back scene, which I absolutely loved putting up, and it's just spectacular when you look at it. Let's bring the camera down here. You don't get to see, you know, much of, you know, it's just cool. And I'm going to blend it in. I'm going to have trees and all sorts popping up here, and I don't know, once things are going around it, it's going to look great, but try not to rush it. My plan is to just take my time with it and enjoy it. I might as well talk to you about the rest of the layout. So there's a narrow gauge part of the railway, and what I really want to do on this is make it DCC. I think it will improve the running of the locos, because they don't enjoy running too slow on this tiny track. There's not a lot of weight in them, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And I've brought a new system, which I'm going to talk about in a future episode, to help me with that. So that's really, really cool. But anyway, this is something you might have seen on previous episodes, and something I've really enjoyed running. So coming down from the narrow gauge railway, you'll see obviously this wonderful mountain pass. I like the curvy nature of the narrow gauge part. And then obviously we've got these little tracks, which I kind of like the idea of, I don't know, just the engines coming round and just passing. Like railways, when you see them, they're generally in straight lines, and so it's cool to have a straight section. And just here, I think you may remember it from only a few episodes ago, I made a nice little station here for where the narrow gauge lot meet the double O gauge, and so they can swap passengers or goods or whatever it is. You know, this is my nice little pannier 040 that I made up. for the narrow gauge ones, which was good fun. Even the Toad van was a 3D printed one. You have to check out some of my much earlier episodes for that. But anyway, that's that. So what I'll do is we'll talk about what we're going to do now. My plan for today and for this episode is to paint the track Sleeper grime colour. It's by Rail Match. If we have a little look here, we've got our nice little pot here. That's the company there. I'm sure there's many other options you can use. You know, I've used things from Hobbycraft to paint some of my bits on my narrow gauge there, but this is Sleeper grime and it's acrylic. And acrylic has, for me, an advantage of it dries quite quickly, which is always nice. And, you know, what goes into the airborne parts of the loft and goes up my nose isn't going to poison me, from what I understand. Hopefully I'm not wrong on that one. Whereas, you know, using enamels with the thinners and chemicals and stuff like that, I don't know, you kind of go down from the loft slightly lightheaded, and that's not really what I want. So I'm going to airbrush all this over here. I'm probably going to leave this very end bit alone because I don't want to mess with everything yet. I just want to focus on what will be actually my station area. So that'll be that. And then after doing that, we're going to look at fitting the station kind of side supporty bits, and I'll go through that in a bit. And that's something I've been really looking forward to and racking my brain on how I'm going to do this. The one thing I wanted to do whilst I had the airbrush out was weather the top of the track to kind of blend in the two. So yeah, just run the airbrush over using the same stuff. I might be doing it all wrong, but you've got to have a go, haven't we? My idea was to kind of tone down some of where the ballast is around it, because it looks so, well, very contrasty. So I've put a bit on, may have put too much on, who knows. I'm gonna rip it up and do it again one day, right? So yeah, so my plan was to do that. Obviously you need to clean them later. I'm happy with that. Obviously this is a layout that ran on steam, so I'm assuming that there wouldn't be as much oil on there, but there's going to be stuff and debris and bits coming out the steam engines, isn't there? Anyway, that's enough of that. What we'll do is we'll go over and start looking at the station idea. On this area I'm going to have my platform, and the idea will be to use these parts that I've printed out, and it's basically going to create what will be the sides, and then I'm going to stick on top of it either an embossed plastic, or I might 3D print the brick. So they're kind of cool. They've got these little tabs on, and I'll be using Copy Dexter to glue them down. So let's say it was on the inside angle here. I can then have that curve if I want there, same as here, because I want to have just here what will be the bit that connects the branch line up. So I want to have a little platform going around to here. So like to take up 2 coaches or something like that. That's this little thing I have in my head. and then it will kind of widen the span, kind of then Y off, and then go across to this main one. So my thoughts are, right, well, where does it go? And where do I start this? I'm going to start this probably about here. But I need to mark where it's going to go. And I've seen in the magazines, using a coach and a pencil, I believe this is what I need to do. And that's going to be its widest point. So that comes down here. And that'd be that. So that works for me. I have to do it for the outside one. Doesn't really work for the outside, does it? I need the widest point, so I need the front of the coach, don't I? So hopefully you're not all squirming watching me do this, but I need to work out where it's going to hit, so then I can get clearance on it. So I do that all the way around. So I'll just run it around. I think that's going to work. Coming across here. Yeah, and it tightens off nicely here. Maybe that's too tight, who knows. I guess we can stick it down and then we can make a judgment on it. So my thoughts are, slide that down there, put this down gently, that once I put that edge down, it's going to be hard to get to the brickwork, because I'll be able to see it from this view if I want to, and I want it to be painted looking nice, because I like to film from behind there looking over here with cameras and things. That'd be cool. It's going to be harder to work on it, but I think I need to put that up before I put any ballast and things on. Same as on here, I've got some point rodding that I want to put on further down, so I'm going to do the ballasting a bit later this time. So I think, well, I think you're getting what I'm saying. So I'll stick this down now and we'll see how it looks and just go from there. So I've been having a think, and what I'm going to do is, so I come in here, as you can see on with my pencil, and I want the station kind of ticket officey bit to be here, be kind of small because it's not a huge railway, and yeah, just going to be a small one here that are, again, I need to draw that and 3D print it, and then I want to have like some toilets here or whatever, and then, you know, something around here. I don't know, I need to go up to like Severn Valley Railway or something like that and just have a little look at how I can, you know, get some inspiration from them. Yeah, so that'll be that. And then around here you could have, you know, some cars parked in here. You know, some area for whatever, just here. And then obviously over this bit, obviously we've got a branch line bit that's done so far. I'm going to print some different little pieces to help me kind of join these bits up. Well, I might print something or just use what I've got. Who knows? I'll have a play. I like making things, so let's go and print something. Yeah, anyway, so that's that. I'll carry on putting it together. Okay, so all of it is together now. Let's have a look around. So we got our station, area, bitty bit, toilets, whatever to do with that, ticket office, and eventually I'll probably print some little stairs that come up for them to walk up, or a ramp for them to come up on, whatever. We can figure that out later. Around here again, car park, that's in there. Then you've got the bit from the branch line. Here, I think I'll have my the bridge, the footbridge. So then, obviously, then they can come over here and join that platform. That will be here, but we're going to do that later on. I don't want to do that now. I want to do it on another episode because I want to be able to lean on this side whilst I'm working on all this. And obviously, it comes to an end there. So overall, I'm actually pretty happy with that. The plan would be eventually to have, like, obviously fencing along all this. Bushes be growing behind here, so that's honestly quite a thing that I'm looking forward to because it's really going to help it blend in. Again, station building here, trees behind, a little road that apparently tucks in behind there. So yeah, it's going to be kind of cool. And then on the other side of this, I haven't quite worked it out, but I think it will just be grass and whatever, you know. If we really wanted to, I could build out over to the bricks. Obviously the loft is the limit on that one, but we'll see what we decide to do. But no, honestly, really pleased with that. Yeah, so what I'll probably do is we'll add in I've got some white card with the foam in between it. I can never remember the name of it, but let's call it foam card. Just going to throw it out there. Foam board, we could call it that. Anyway, I'm going to use that to fill up the gap to a certain point, and that'll be that. And then I need to work out what height I want to run the embossed plastic brick. Because that will be then the top height. I will then plaster over the top of all of that. And then, you know, I'll try and make sure that the embossed brick's all the same height. I'm going to paint it before I do all the plastering. I don't know if that's a bad idea or I paint it afterwards. But I know this side, it's going to be hard to paint it. But I could go into my little triangular area there and I could come back in and paint it and put washes on. And then I can paint the top of the platform afterwards. So who knows? I guess we just got to see, right? But I won't be doing that on this episode. I'm literally going to fill it up and probably going to leave it as that because there's been plenty going on. And yeah, but what I will do after running that was we're going to run a new little addition to the line. But let's get the white stuff in and then we'll have a go. what I'm going for. And again, I'm working on just that area first so I can get to everything without getting my elbows or wrists or anything like that on the other platform. If you kind of do, I find, too many things in one go, you end up kind of not doing them at all. So I thought, focus on that bit, get it nice, get inspired, then move to the next bit. The whole idea of getting inspired is not to let it become entertainment. It's something that I heard, that if you kind of hear or see or experience something that really gets you thinking, wow, and you never do anything in your life about that one thing that inspired you, it does become just entertainment. So I really appreciated hearing that, and I just wanted to share it on. So if there's any time that you're thinking, oh wow, I want to do that, if you can't do anything about it, like if it's financial, make a plan. There's always something that you can do. Anyway, let's go have a look at the Duke Dog. I'm really pleased with it, actually. It looks brilliant. One thing that I didn't realise, actually, after doing all the work with it, is a lot of the fittings weren't fitted, just like the hook that takes the chain on the front that couples them together. So I need to fit those bits and put the other bits and bobs on, but I'm probably going to cover that on another episode because I actually want to put some people inside. So anyway, that's that. Let's go have a look. So the new engine I wanted to talk about, I wanted to get one of these for a while, but Rose of Sheffield had them on with DCC sound fitted, and I just thought, for I think it's like 200 quid, considering a sound chip's on like £100, it makes the loco kind of like 100 quid or whatever, whichever way you want to look at it. So I'm really pleased. I think Dad's got one of these, and I've always liked the look of them. So yeah, what we do is we get it out and give it a run on the railway. I think it looks nice. The engine runs pretty well. I did quite a bit of warming up in there. It was also quite warm in the loft when I ran it, so it really did get warmed up and run in. The sound of it huffing and chuffing sounds good. There's a couple of bits that I wasn't so keen on, which was the setting 3, which has got the where they drain, well, the drain cocks, and you can hear the loop of the sound going around in there. So that I felt could be a little bit better. And then the other bit was the toot toot and the whistle going. That's number 14 and I think number 4. They're really loud compared to everything else. I'm assuming I can turn them individually down. I need to find out a bit more about that. I'm not an expert on this kind of thing. My brother knows quite a bit about this, so maybe I need to ask him. Anyway, the next bit that I had a lot of fun with was making, well, I've got them here, is these waiting rooms. And these are 3D printed on my resin printer. And honestly, I had a lot of fun doing them. I have posters on the ends. I put some glass in the side for a change. Had fun weathering the roofs. But it didn't just be a case, well, it wasn't just a case where I drew it and then hit print, because things didn't come out right every time. You'll see my first one of the big one that I did, it's a bit of a curve on this edge, which meant that I needed to change how it's being printed. But if you put too much angle on, you end up getting just lost detail and stuff like that, which is okay on a larger model, but on the smaller models you start getting issues of things not forming properly, which fine, I get that. So I ended up going through the routes of printing them all as one, and it wasn't working well. Whereas with these ones, I printed the two parts separately, which meant I could get two really, really good parts. There were little bits that weren't right with them, and I ended up printing a few more roofs to try and get it right, but I never bettered it, so I kind of left it. The O gauge one is for a gentleman that you might have heard of, called Richard from Junction, and he talked to me about doing a little waiting room to go on his platform. And I said, yeah, I'll be up for that, because I could do have one for mine. Because currently mine is one from In the Greenwood Laser, which is a nice little model, but it doesn't quite have that detail on the edges and stuff like that. So I wanted to have this kind of my own version of it. So I kind of modelled something that was similar to this one and make it my own. And after going to Didcot Railway, they had one of their buildings with this really nice work on the end of the roof. Obviously I'll insert some pictures. But I wanted to mimic that on this, as well as go through the route of adding the posters on. So from Didcot Railway, I took some pictures of the posters that were actually on the on one of the buildings. Actually a waiting room, which was all corrugated steel construction on this one. And I just thought, I could put them on here. So I printed them out and put it on. But what we'll do is we'll, see a few clips, do a bit of voiceover. You can see it all coming together. And yeah, I had fun. I honestly had fun. I'm looking forward to giving it to Richard, and hopefully he likes it. I'm pleased with it. And, I just need to print one in N gauge now, and I've got all my different scales that I can play with. Anyway, let's crack on and have a look at that. I drew a cool little building, and we're printing it out. After that's done, I scoop it off. You've seen this before in my other videos. If you haven't seen it before, it's a resin printer, and it uses UV light to cure the parts. After they're cured, I like to then put them in isopropanol alcohol, and that cleans it off really, really nicely. You get all that kind of residue from when it's dipping in and out coming away, which is really, really good. And after that, I wash it in water and we're good. I let it dry, and then I cure it properly with a UV cure box, which I have. Check out my previous episodes and you'll see various things like that going on. Then I snip it out with these little supports, which I use to help print it, and I sand the bottom of it flat, which allows it to be flat, which is really handy. Otherwise it doesn't always sit so well. After that, I use my brick base by Omega paints, and I've watered it down a bit and I paint it all over, and I end up doing kind of about 2 or 3 really thin coats. That allows me to keep all of my brick detail, because obviously I don't want to fill in all those gaps where the mortar will eventually go. Working my way around, I have both the sizes there. I'll do a front of one, go and do the front of the other, and it works out really, really nicely in the end. As you can see, it's going on pretty nicely, and I'm using nice thin bits. The paint comes out the pot pretty thick, so I do like to water it down quite a lot. And then I just really carefully work on all the edges, because I don't have to repaint the windows white too much. After that's done, I get my mortar mix, which is purely what is it? It's tiling grout. That's what it is, tiling grout. And once that's done, I use a damp cloth and I wipe it, and I do this 3 times. And I just make sure I've covered all the areas. Once it's done, it's dry, I then run a coat of varnish on it, and that seals it all up nicely. And what I find is I end up getting a better kind of top finish on the bricks once it's dry. So I'm really, really pleased, because after all of this, we're going to be touching all the bricks. I'm using various colours, and I mix them with the brick base. So I've got a darker red, I mix that with the brick base. I also have a lighter reddy orange colour, and I mix that in. And then after that, I even do some brown. So I'm mixing brown with the brick base. You end up getting something that kind of looks like a real brick wall. So for me, really, really pleased. After that, adding in the dark stone from the Great Western Range, using the rail match colours this time. and I'm just touching in all the areas that need to have that really nice dark stone colour from the Great Western days. So once that's done, obviously doing this top pillar support here, I'll be working my way over to the roof. And the roof is one of my favourite parts of it. That end work on the fence, honestly, I think looks great. Even had a guest, my kitten kept popping up to say hello, see what I'm up to. I had to keep throwing him back down, gently of course, and continue painting. Once that's done, I worked on using the light stone to paint the inside of the building. So I thought, well, what colour is it going to be? And I don't want to just paint it a dark colour so you can't see anything. So I thought it's only right to use the light stone colour. Moving back to the roof, I used Roofang Steel by Citadel. That's from the Games Workshop. And just kind of did 2 coats of this. It went on really, really nicely. And after that, I used a shade colour that they do called Agrax Earth Shade. And that kind of goes into all the crevices really, really nicely and kind of introduces that weathered look and picks out certain details. I only did 1 coat of this, and I did it on both parts because I'm also going to be adding some of the powders that I have, which are from the Forge World range that they sell. And it's just these dark muddish colours, and I'm running on here. And what I don't actually show on the video because I didn't film it, I actually run a wet paintbrush over it all in the end, and that kind of makes it go down to the lowest points and then kind of smudge off the top areas with a towel just to kind of make them brighter. I then get my Roofang Steel again and I dry brush all this area just to bring it out, give it a bit more pop, let's say. I've seen popping in the microphone, but honestly really pleased with that. After that, I needed to glue some windows in. I had some leftover bits from my Metcalf kits and I thought, perfect, I can use it on here. So then we have some real windows, and it's something that I've not done on my models before. So I'm really pleased to introduce another layer of modelling to it. And with that, it's just PVA glue, and I put it on with that Metcalf applicator and then gently pop the windows in. Just try not to get any glue over the window that you'll be able to see from the outside. So I do a nice big area around it so then it doesn't walk its way in and ruin how it looks. After that, I want to put some posters on, and I basically went on to Word. I printed off a bunch of these in different sizes and I picked the one that fitted the best, and then we stick it on again just with PVA glue. And actually once this is done, I go and use some varnish to just seal it all off nicely, so then if any new moisture or humidity gets to it, it doesn't change in any way. And I think I'll do this more over time. So I'm pleased. Adding posters, window glass to what I feel is something I'm really proud of, this 3D printed building. Spent quite a bit of time doing it. I'm really, really chuffed to bits of how it looks. Coming back out of all this dreaded, we don't say it too much, out of lockdown, all these bits, the clubs are opening up due to being able to go inside with a certain amount of numbers, and it was great. I was able to go and see all the gentlemen that I've been on Zoom meetings with all over this lockdown period, which has been really nice. I've been able to actually see a bit more about everyone, whereas normally sometimes at a club night you don't get to talk to the individuals as much. Some of them don't always feel that they can be as chatty, whereas on there some of them did presentations, some of them hadn't even met before, so it's really nice. So when we got back together, it felt really good because they were there and you could have some real good one-on-one chats with them all, obviously at a distance, keeping ourselves safe. And so with that, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we had the octagon running round, which was really cool. I hadn't seen it out before from the times that I've been going to the Model Railway Club before. I think I must have missed those nights. And we bought our locos and we had a brilliant time from 009 running around on the N-gauge stuff, 3 tracks of 00 gauge, and there was even a little low gauge model going around. One bit that I really loved was Roger bringing his TRS smoke and DCC fitted Evening Star, and it looked wonderful going around with that smoke popping out the top. And I can't remember how much he paid for it, actually, because the loco he already had, I think, is around the £200 mark, which obviously that's a lot of money, but I guess if you're really into this and something I'd like to do, it's worth doing. And he sent it off, and they did the work to it, sent it back to him, and he got it going, and he obviously puts his liquid in the top and it smokes out, and it's brilliant, and it puffs with the sound. It's really cool, and I'm going to show some of those clips of it going around as well as a montage of all the other bits from the club night to show you what a club night is for me. And I don't know, there's some really great people there, and I'm looking forward to each Wednesday, which we do. It's the Kettering and District Model Railway Society, I think it is, KDRMS. Anyway, yeah, we meet up on a Wednesday night at 7:15, and we have a great time, and we're there till about 10. And by the time we get home, I felt good. It's good therapy, considering like through lockdown you're on your own a lot, so it's really good. So let's have a look.
I like it. So he's now working in London.
I said, oh good. You could put them in that side. Yeah.
So before we go, just want to say a big thank you for tuning in to the episode. I had a lot of fun doing these various bits, obviously with the model club, the fun with the waiting room, as well as building up the station. The station for me has been on my mind for a long time, since building up the first part of the station, which was just some in the greenwood laser platform pieces. Having something on a curve kind of offered me kind of issue in my mind of how I was going to do it. And I'm happy so far with how I'm doing it. A lot of the time when you work on things, you want to change it. But yeah, if you did like this video, just, you know, hit like on the like. Obviously, if you don't like it, just hit don't like. But leave me a comment, let me know what your thoughts, or if there's anything you could add. It's always nice to know if, first of all, people have got to this part of the video, because a lot of the time I'm sure you switch off. But yeah, big thank you to all my subscribers. You're all great, thank you. The channel has been growing over the past year and a bit. It's been going for a little while now, and I've had so much fun in the process. So thank you. If you aren't already a subscriber, feel free to hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and click on that bell so it lets you know when I've done an episode. Otherwise, episodes might go by and you think, I haven't done anything for a while, but I have. And also, massive thank you to my patrons and channel members. Without your support, this would be a little bit more difficult. Doing the videos, it takes quite a bit of energy, time, and to know that I have people behind me supporting me, as well as my subscribers watching and giving me the great comments, feedback and likes, you just get this great sense of motivation to then keep on doing the next video. So thank you to all of you. It's honestly appreciated. I'm going to leave you all now, but you take care and look after yourselves. I'm starting to do a bit more on the live streaming, so you might see that every other Thursday if I have time. Depends on work, if I'm able to get things done. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Take care. Goodbye.